Hey, Jaylan, I love your name. That's really unusual. I don't think I've ever heard that name before. My
Thank
parents had no imagination, as evidenced by Steve.
Well, it's a Persian name. This is why it's very unique.
Did I say it correctly? Is it Jaylan?
Well, it's Jaylan, but every American I know says Jaylan. I think because there are Jaylans in America, a lot of them.
Yes, so, but I'm one that always likes to be correct, so I try. So
Thank
you'll
you.
never hear Jaylan come out of my mouth again.
Okay, thank you so much, Steve. This is awesome. Okay, um, I love the film so much, and I want to know the concept of creating an anthology from a group of short films together. How does the process go?
It was an interesting process. It was an arduous one, to be very honest with you as well, because filmmaking has become very simple. Like you could literally make a movie on your MacBook nowadays, right?
Yes?
So there's a lot of, I mean, just because you give somebody sauce, cheese, and dough doesn't necessarily mean they know how to make a pizza, you
No.
know? So there's a lot of white noise out there. And when it came to All Hallows Eve, it was essentially a vehicle for Damien Leone to showcase his short films. And it served as sort of like the proof of concept for the Terrifier movies. And thankfully, the right people, I, the right time, got to see those movies. And it went on to become a bigger thing. And I had distributed the original Terrifier through Dread Central, and then I executive produced Terrifier 2. And about 6 months ago, Jesse Bagé, it's Bagee, he came to me and he was like, do you want to? Because I had helped out on Trickster a little bit,
Okay.
and I told him, if you would have let me pick all the movies for this, it would have been awesome. And I was joking, and then he called me back like 6 months later. He's like, "Were you serious about what you said?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't remember what I said Tuesday. So you got to be a little bit more specific." And he asked me if I wanted to work on Inferno, and I said, "Let me think about this for a minute. Let me see if I can come up with an exciting angle." And what was exciting to me about the original All Hallows Eve is the fact that the right people seen it. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to give a whole crop of filmmakers that very same chance. So I called Jesse back and I'm like, what if we take these pre-existing short films that are just online and nobody is watching them? And it's sad that that happens, but when you do a short film, it has a very finite lifespan. You do your festival run, you get featured on a couple of websites if you're lucky, and then you go and live on YouTube or Vimeo or whatever. So, and being that filmmaking has become so easy in a lot of ways, there's so much noise out there. So finding these really good shorts in a crop of thousands is it gets increasingly harder every day. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to put out a call for shorts, which I did, and have people send me their movies that, were just looking for that second life and that second chance. And I got about 900 responses, and I watched every single one of them. And of those 900 something movies, I picked a few. Some are on other anthologies right now. One's called Werewolves, one's called Watch If You Dare. Um, but All Hallows Eve is the flagship, so that had to really be the cream of the crop. So I went and I picked the shorts that I picked for this one, and people seem to be liking it. And I think they like the format of it because to me, there's a lot of times you'll see a lot of companies they'll put out an anthology film and they're like they try to portray it as something that it's not, like, oh, these films were made specifically for. No, that's not always the case, right? And I think that's disingenuous. So what I wanted to do is I wanted this to be presented like a short film block at a festival. That way people who don't necessarily have the ability to get to a festival, whether it be geographically or whatever, they have that chance to have that same kind of experience, but this time in their own house. And they don't have to spend $35 on popcorn and soda and candy. They have it, from their local store. So that's what I wanted to really bring with All Hallows Eve Inferno and give these super talented filmmakers an opportunity to have their work seen on just a different level, to give it that second life and to make it into something special. And I hope to God that, the right people do see it, because watching All Hallows Eve Inferno, especially one or two of those shorts, there's a definite feature film or two in there, so fingers crossed.
Definitely. I love there are some stories that I got so invested in. Some of them are just so amazing. Also, they vary in creativity and like relying on a local folk legend for the little girl and the wow,
Mm.
like I don't want to spoil, but there are such varieties there. There's also one that takes place in a kitchen, which I feel like it's cool because we are all now want to see what's going on in kitchens after the bear.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot out there. And I loved also that it felt like an extended purgatory of some reason for
Mhm.
the main character. So for me, I was like mesmerized, like, wow, you're getting me inside a world that I don't want to get out of, but I'm also very squirmish and sitting in
Well,
my
thank you so much for saying that. I mean, when it came to the wraparound, I had a very comic book vision for it. Like, I wanted it to feel like an sort of like Creepshow did, with a real minimal wraparound. With, of course, George Romero did it better than anyone ever has, but I wanted the films themselves to be the star. I didn't want the wraparound to compete with the films. So the wraparound that we did is very much animated, and it takes you from point A to point B, and it's there only to get you to the next film and keep you busy while you're waiting for the next one to start.
yeah. But Steve, I want to know, why are you invested in horror that you take on such a massive task? Like, what do you love about horror? Since we're now like the end of October and it's almost Halloween, I feel like the whole October is Halloween to me. So why do you love horror so much that you invest your time and your artistic energy in it?
It's, you know what it is? It's an escape. It's sort of like going to an amusement park, right? Where you go on this roller coaster and you go there specifically to scream your head off, right? And feel like you're just touching the edge, but you're actually 100% safe. And it's that rush, that adrenaline. I've been pursuing that my whole life since I saw like my first horror movie, you know? And I'm lucky enough and blessed enough to be in a position where I get to turn more fans onto things they may not have seen. And it was just an opportunity I couldn't pass up, because for me, the most important thing in the world is the fan base. Because number one, they're the reason why we all have jobs, not going to lie, right? And
Not
number
sure.
two, it truly is the most passionate fan base. And I so relate to the misfit quality of it, where everyone looks down at us like they're weirdos, but they have no problem playing catch up for 1 month every year, right?
Yeah, that's so true. Okay. Do you see All Hallows Eve becoming like a permanent, a staple of Halloween? Like every year we're gonna get a new one. Please tell me it will.
That's up to the fans. It's really up to the fans if they want that. And Inferno ends up being a success and people embrace it, for what it is, because it's not trying to be anything that it's not. It's a collection of short films. Watch them and have a good time. And if it works and I get the opportunity to keep doing this, I'd do it till the day I die, because it's important to me to be able to do that for people, to give them their next favorite flick or maybe their next favorite filmmaker. It's an honor, and it's one I take very seriously. And I do what I can to make sure that the best projects out there are seen by the most people. And that's what I've done my whole career.
Right. Well, Steve, from my horror loving heart, thank you so much for this interview. I loved All Hallows Eve Inferno. Can't wait for the world to see it. And thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you. It's really been my pleasure. And seriously, when your coverage runs, just tag me on social media, because I'm very easy to find. And I'll be sure to share it. And thank you so much for your time today. Really, I appreciate you hanging out with me.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Bye bye.
Bye.